And then coming back to writing and drawing the character, did you want to make a drastic change? Is that why you sent him to hell?
Yeah, I've never been comfortable drawing the real world. It's not something I'm particularly good at. The real world these days is full of airplanes and cars. I knew eventually I would have to draw that stuff if he stayed on Earth. There was kind of running out of places for him to go where there wouldn't be any cars. And so I knew when I came back to the book, I wanted to do a book, and I've been doing it for a really long time. I wanted to do a world that was made entirely out of everything I wanted to draw. And I had done this Amazing Screw-on-Head story and other stories like that. They were this really purely me, the most, weird to say the most personal, but visually the most personal, the most me stories. And I thought, I want to draw that world. And to say that isn't what my version of hell looks like. Even though, especially if you look at the BPRD book, my version of hell looks pretty cozy compared to the Earth these days. So yeah, I wanted to go back and have fun and just be left alone to do absolutely anything I wanted to do. And really just, I'm at the dessert phase of my career. You know, I've eaten vegetables, I've drawn cars, not many, none of them were moving. But I think I drew an airplane once, you know, it's like, now I just want dessert. I want cake and pie all the time. And so that's what my hell is like. I have, going into it, I had a rough idea what I wanted. Warning, this is where things start getting a little blurry and arty when I talk about it. The most fun thing about Hellboy in Hell is creating that world, which is why issue 2 is Hellboy's little brief tour of that world. Because over the next however many years I'm doing Hellboy in Hell, probably the rest of my career, I want to populate that world, and not necessarily with people, but just the landscape and the architecture and these cities. I find it so much fun to create, you know, from scratch, this world that is, if you could look inside my head, this is the world that's in there. You know, it's again, I can't stress enough, it's entirely made out of things I like, the way old buildings would butt into each other, but they all kind of sit around this gloomy lake, and then eventually if you get past those cities, you get into these forests and deserts and mountains and stuff. I can see that world, and I just want to draw that world. The trouble is, the world's really big, so it's going to take a really long time to draw it. But that's what I want to do, spend the rest of my life, you know, however long I'm doing stories of any kind, everything goes into that world. I'm not one of those, I'm going to do this book over here, and then I'm going to do some Star Trek kind of thing, and then I'm going to go do this other kind of thing about a gnome that lives in Brooklyn. It's like, no, I want everything to fall into one basket, and I'm just designing that basket.